Hello, this is Pete, or Kenshin1913, along with
Mom.
And this is another Cooking with Kenshin1913. What are we doing today?
We're making chocolate banana bread.
We're taking it up a notch.
Okay, so the star of our show is bananas. And I have 3 bananas that have been smashed up. I actually had these in the freezer because my daughter-in-law had given me a whole bunch of ripe bananas. So I measured everything out and put them in Ziploc bags in the freezer. So I took them out and let it defrost. You're going to have some flour, baking soda, brown sugar, either light or dark, whatever you might have at home, some vanilla, some butter, cocoa powder, and eggs, and chocolate.
Yeah.
We're going to melt some dark chocolate and add it to the batter along with the cocoa powder. You can use, if you don't want to use butter, you can use a half a cup of vegetable oil.
Or even cream. You could use a little bit of heavy cream. Because the reason why we're using all that butter is because it helps the cocoa infuse and make it more rich.
Okay, so I have already put in one bowl my dry ingredients. So it's our flour and our baking soda. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this, and then that will just be set aside.
Yeah, this is different than our normal banana bread recipe because it's got chocolate in it. It's got double chocolate. You're getting chocolate in the flour with the cocoa powder, and you're getting chocolate with melted chocolate that's going to be in the actual
And it's
recipe.
actually you're putting dark chocolate we're using, not milk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my eggs in here.
Yeah, it's like bittersweet or whatnot.
Semi-sweet. So I've got my eggs in here, and usually with a lot of when you're making breads, you don't usually put them in a blend, in a KitchenAid. It's usually done by hand, but you could use your KitchenAid for it. So the next thing I'm going to add is my sugar.
Dark brown sugar. And all the ingredients are in that little thing we posted. Yeah, usually the sugar goes with the wet. I'm not sure why, because technically it is dry, but
because when it gets wet, it dissolves.
yeah.
Oh, one of the things I forgot to add is you're going to have a little bit of granulated sugar. So you're going to put it on top of your bread before you bake it.
Right.
And you'll see we'll do that. My loaf pan is already greased, and I always put a piece of parchment paper on the bottom.
Yeah, we'll show it to you when we get to it for sure. So now we're adding a teaspoon of vanilla because that helps bring out some of the chocolate flavor. Now we're just going to stir all that together. When did I start making this recipe, you're probably wondering. I started making this recipe during the pandemic.
I'm going to add a little bit of our butter and a little bit of the cocoa powder.
Yeah. This will help get that cocoa nice and infused and bring out the extra chocolatey flavor. Yeah, I started making this during the pandemic when my sister-in-law brought over a crap ton of bananas. And we were trying to figure out what to do with the bananas. And I said, let me make some banana bread. And then I found out my mom had some chocolate in the refrigerator that she hasn't eaten in forever. And I said, what the heck? Let me make some chocolate banana bread. And then I saw a recipe for Cook's Country. They got a double chocolate banana bread. I'm like, oh crud, that sounds good. Let me make that. So that's where I made it. I must have made like 4 or 5 times, and we really all enjoy this recipe, so that's why we're doing it. So now we got our wet. All right, as my mom is whisking away that mix, we're actually working on over here. This is a double boiler. We've got about I want to say it's a little over like 6 ounces. I'm gonna say about 6 ounces of. This is dark chocolate, and we're just gonna let this melt while stirring it occasionally until it's all melted, because we're gonna fold that in to the mix, the banana bread mix.
Okay, so Pete showed you what we're doing with the chocolate. Now, you can also, if you had little chocolate chips, you can put them in you follow the directions on the bag. You could put them in the microwave. You don't have to do the double boil system like we're doing. If you don't want extra chocolate in it melted, you can add just whole chocolate chips into it. You could also add in here nuts, any kind of nuts that you like. So now I'm adding the smashed up bananas.
Yeah, the 3, at least 3, might be 4.
Into the wet. And ripe bananas, you could even cut a little bit down on your sugar if you wanted to, because ripe bananas are naturally sweetened. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and as you can see, she's adding it a little bit at a time.
And the trick to breads is not to overmix.
Yeah. But yeah, if you added it all together,
it makes your bread tough.
Yeah, and also you get a floury mess.
So I'm kind of, instead of vigorously mixing, I'm kind of folding it all in until the flour is all incorporated. And it looks like we're pretty well set. We're just waiting for the chocolate to melt so we can use it. So I greased my loaf pan. This is a very old loaf pan, and I've put a piece of parchment on the bottom. When you're doing a double boiler, you want the water just to be at the bottom of the bowl that you're using. So usually I start to boil the water ahead of time and then place my bowl on top, and then I turn my heat off, because then you don't want the water spitting out underneath, and the water's nice and hot and it will melt your chocolate.
Yeah, now we're using dark. You can use semi-sweet, bittersweet, whatever sweet you want. We're using dark because dark has like that nice, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it has more chocolatey flavor than regular chocolate, so we go with that. One thing I want to mention is you want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. And that chocolate's just about ready. You just got to get those last big chunks there melted.
It takes about 50 to 60 minutes baking time. And then, of course, before you take it out, you're going to test the center with a wooden skewer or a knife to make sure that the center is cooked. So we let our chocolate cool down a little bit. You can't let it sit here all day, of course, so.
But yeah, we don't want it piping hot. Otherwise, forget it.
And don't let any of this little bit of chocolate go to waste. Get some pretzels and clean the bowl out.
Now you're just gonna fold that in over there. Just give it a nice fold. So if it's like chocolate is in like every bite, which it is technically gonna be in every bite.
And like I said, you can add nuts to it. Instead of the melted chocolate, just chocolate chips. And so we're going to pour this into our pan. this hand has seen its share of breads, all kind of breads.
Yeah. Now one thing I like to do is give it a tap. Any air pockets on the bottom, try to get them to go up. And the other thing I like to do, yeah, is we add a little bit, you take some granulated sugar and you just put a little bit on top, because then it'll give you that nice crust that sometimes you see when you're making banana bread, and it'll help it from not like puffing up a ton where it might like overflow out of the oven. So yeah, like my mom said, 350 for 55 to 60 minutes. All right, we took the banana bread out of the oven. We stuck a fork in it right there, or a knife. Came out clean. We're letting it sit. It's nice and cool now. We can take it out. Okay, this bread was super easy to take out thanks to all the nice grease we ended up putting in there. So as you can see, you got a nice little crust over here, and the thing that you're going to want to use is a serrated knife. As you can see, it's got the little teeth to it, and it's best to cut it. Now, the bread is still a little warm, so I'm going to try and cut a little piece in the middle. Not the butt, although the butt would be terrific. But we're going to cut a nice little piece right in the middle here. Hopefully it doesn't break. And there we go. Let's take it out. Ah! I'll show you. Look at that. Beautiful. So let's eat it. Alright, so here's our double chocolate banana bread. It's terrific. Thanks, Mom.
Smells delicious too.
Yeah. It's nice and moist already, I can tell. It's got that rich chocolatey flavor. The chocolate is like, this is like a chocolate lover's kind of bread. This is really good. You still get that banana, obviously. It's just really good. I'll eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I want. But yeah, just really good.
Lovely with a cup of tea.
Which we're planning on having a little bit. So I want to thank my mom. I've been Pete, or Kenshin1913, along with
Mom.
And this has been another Cooking with Kenshin1913.
Enjoy and happy eating.